Hey Periscope! I'm gonna try and get you guys kind of situated right up here. Hey Fern! I hope this doesn't fall. I should probably get one of those. Hey Danielle! I should probably get one of those like Periscope tripods that all the Periscope people with like 1 million followers have all this exciting equipment. Hey Corinne! Hey Annie, hey Katie. I love seeing you guys jump on. So I hope you liked my Disney scopes this week. Did you guys see those? I wish I could have done more rides on the Disney scopes. But I think, hey Angela, I think that like when you go on, for example, like a Space Mountain or something, and this eyebrow is kind of, I think my eyebrow game is like not on point as much today. I need to darken this one up a little bit. I'm getting distracted. Eyebrows, okay. But I think when you go like into a ride, the signal isn't that good with Periscope. And my mom was just trying to FaceTime me in the middle of my Periscope. So I will have to connect with her in just a second. Sorry Mom if you're watching. But I'm live, I'm doing my show. So I gotta do this real quick and I will call Mama back. So I will do more Disney scopes. That was really, really fun, and share with you more Disney tips on like my favorite baby carriers, my favorite strollers, like all the things that you need to do Disneyland and with kids, especially if you're by yourself and you live in Orange County and you don't have your husband or mom or another grown-up with you, and you have all your kids, you guys want to go to Disneyland, there's a few things you need to know. So we're going to be doing that a little later. Also, coming up, I'm going to talk about bottles and transitioning a baby to like a baby bottle, and which kind of bottles are good to use, which kind of bottles I kind of hate. And I've tried, I'm like, this is dumb, why did I buy this one? And some things you can do as your baby gets bigger to just help the bottle feeding process go a lot faster. And also, if you're transitioning from like nursing a baby to formula, there's a couple tricks that I've learned after having 5 kids that are really good for getting that baby to like the formula, because it's so gross. If you've ever tasted formula and you're like, ugh, I can't believe I'm feeding this to my baby. But the babies like it eventually. And so if any of that kind of stuff interests you, you can share this broadcast. You can just swipe the screen and you can invite followers, or you can just like copy the link and send it to people. So if that sounds cool, you can do that. But let's get to the meat of this Periscope. So first of all, if you have never watched one of my Periscopes, my name's Amanda, and I have this blog called ocbeautymom.com, and I just post on my blog like mom tips. Hey, Allie! I post mom tips and kind of lifestyle in Orange County tips and like beauty tips. Like I love makeup and beauty and skincare and all that kind of cool stuff. So I put all that on there, but then I also come on Periscope and I do some stuff. And so today I wanted to share with you some tips for like surviving a funeral or church, or like if you're in some meeting or you're watching some speaker at a thing and you have some kids with you and you're just like, how are we gonna survive this experience? So for me, the reason why this was inspired was because one of my friends at church on Sunday tapped me on the shoulder and she's like, what's the matter with Lola? Like, why is she sitting so quiet? And how is she sitting so quiet and folding her arms like this, sitting on her bottom on the chair, listening to church? Like, it was crazy. And so my friend was like, what are you doing? How is she not just like all over the place? Because she's 5. And so also you should know that my husband right now, he doesn't sit with us at church because he's like a volunteer guy. And so he's kind of up at the front of the congregation. And so and he's got to sit up there during the sermon, kind of. And so I'm usually in the congregation with my 5 kids by myself, trying to keep everybody quiet. And our services during this part of the church last about an hour and 10 minutes. And so it's a long time for a little kid to stay quiet and stay still. And some things that we've done in the past that we've decided for us just don't work are treats. I know this sounds crazy. We used to bring like all kinds of treats, like a full lunch, all kinds of like fishy crackers and string cheese and juice boxes and they finished their string cheese, like, oh my gosh, we're out of snacks, like what are we gonna do? And then you keep running out of snacks and it just doesn't work. And so I would suggest to you, just don't worry about the snacks. Like, you're just gonna run out and then you're gonna have a problem again. And you'll probably make a big mess all over the church if you're like my kids and they're getting fishy cracker crumbs all over the carpet. So avoid the snacks, and also avoid, they're noisy too. That's a really good point. Like if you're opening a big bag, hey, Mr. P, if you're opening a big bag of like chips or something and it's like making all this big plasticky crackling noise and people at the church are like, hey lady, like pipe down, And so snacks are just, they run out, they're noisy, they don't keep the kids quiet, like they just don't keep the kids quiet, period. And so avoid those. Also, I finally started telling my kids, like, you get to bring something small, like toy or activity wise. And so I tell them this has to be something they can carry in their hand. It can't be a whole entire bag of the entire toy room in a bag that you bring to church with you. Like, just don't, yes, Mr. P, this is kind of a mom rant. So don't bring your whole toy room because they're just gonna get bored of the toys. So just tell them, you can choose one or two, and like, for example, in my son's case, he's 3, he's gonna be 4 pretty soon. I'll let him choose like one dinosaur action figure and like maybe 1 or 2 Hot Wheels cars. And like, that's all whatever he can fit in his pockets, like, and hold in his hand, that's what he gets to it. I don't put all this stuff in my bag overflowing with toys and food and all this stuff. It just doesn't work. I would do it if it worked. Don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you, it just doesn't work. The kids will just fight over, Mr. P, I love you. I'm sorry, I don't have any dogs. I'm allergic to dogs, thank goodness. Oh my gosh, I just have enough to worry about around here. Okay, so we kind of went through what not to do. Don't bring a lot of food, don't bring a lot of toys, don't bring a lot of stuff. It's just gonna cause problems. The kid's gonna fight over it. You're gonna run out of food. You're just gonna be like, my life is over. This is terrible. This is the worst day of the week. I can't do this. Why does Sunday have to be so hard? And then you get home and you're like, oh my gosh, a week isn't long enough to even recover. And so, here's what you do. Here's what I do. And here's the reason why my daughter, my 5-year-old, was sitting with her arms folded, watching, just like this, listening, not doing anything. She wasn't talking to her neighbor. She wasn't playing with a toy. She wasn't doing any of that. It's the reason why my friend tapped me on the shoulder and was like, what the? Talk to me. Tell me what you're doing. And so, oh my gosh, a racetrack. So here's what I do. First of all, we implemented this new program, and sometimes moms get really excited about new programs and then it doesn't work, and then you're like, oh, you're on to the next program, for your kids' behavior or chores or chore chart or all this stuff. So we implemented this new program. I was way excited about it, and it's actually worked. And what it is the star of the day. So I go to the bank and I ask the teller on the other side of the counter, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna need like a bunch of $1 bills. Just give me like a whole envelope of $1 bills. I withdraw, I walk out of there feeling like just the richest lady in town, because I have a stack of $1 bills like this thick. And it's like 50 bucks or something, but it's not that much money. But I get all these $1 bills and I keep them in a safe place. And anyone who's the superstar, who's the star of the day, gets $1. There can be many superstars. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. P. Oh, I just did like a quick face today. Mr. P, Gary Parson 4, you guys, is a professional makeup artist. He's amazing. You should definitely follow him if you like makeup and beauty like I do. So I have all these $1 bills, and I'm like, you guys, whoever is the best superstar gets to have a $1 bill. And this even works still for my 11-year-old. She gets really excited about her superstar dollar. And so this is the time preparing for church, leaving for church, and sitting through the services at church. Whoever doesn't fight, whoever listens, is obedient the first time, whoever is, whispering when, if somebody needs something during the services, and whoever is listening and being good. And so that's one of the star of the day. Sometimes I have no superstars, and we'll be driving home and the kids will be like, Mommy, who's the star of the day? And I'll be like, well, and we review. I'm like, I saw somebody getting out of their chair. And I saw somebody else asking me if they could get up and go potty and go on a walk and get a drink, and right in the middle of the prayer. And like, we cannot stand up and do that when it's like a prayer. And then I saw somebody else who was not getting in the car when I said, and they were whining and crying and fighting. And, and so then you kind of go through these things, and the kids are like, oh man, that was totally me. They're like, dang it. Ah. And then they know for next time. Then if I see someone who is really good, then I say, no, yes, there is a superstar today. Or yes, there are 2 superstars today. This superstar is someone who, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it totally works for Easton. Last week, he was so sad that he did not get the superstar dollar, and he is going to work so hard next Sunday to be quiet and listen. And if you just quietly remind these little babies, you're not going to get the superstar if you don't sit down. You are not going to get a he is almost 4, Annie. You're not going to get a superstar dollar if you do not stay seated, if you do not stay quiet. And you have to be on them, and you have to really hold them accountable. You can't just give it to them and they're like, like my son, who was like, that makes me sad. He kept saying that on Sunday. He was like, that makes me sad, Mom. I want the superstar. And yeah, actually I only do superstar dollars on Sundays, but maybe it would be a good thing to implement like other times. So anyway, the superstar dollar is really, really good. If everybody's a superstar, everybody gets $1. Like the best $4 I ever spent in my whole life. That's never happened before. Once I had like 3 superstars though. That was a really good day. And sometimes I have no superstars. So I would suggest trying out the superstar dollar. Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't run out of battery. Here's the other thing. This is important. What do you do when you want to let them on the supermarket and run to your car? What? I don't understand that. No, you mean to get $1? No, I just keep the dollars. I go to the bank like every once in a while, and I keep the dollars in a safe place. So that I always have them every week ready. When I run out, I just go get more. And so here's what you do when your child starts to have a meltdown at church, or at a funeral, or a speaker, or something that you're at, and it's not acceptable to be having a total tantrum crazy. Okay, so I learned this from a child development class that I took in college. I majored in human development, emphasis in the child development area. So this is getting kind of sciencey, but I'll tell you that this works in non-science talking world. Like this is just the way that it works. So here's what I do. If I have like a toddler who knows that it's not acceptable to be having a tantrum and being like flat as a pancake on the floor, kicking and screaming, and it's like somebody's giving a talk or like a sermon or something, and you're like, this is so embarrassing. Everybody's looking, you don't know what to do. So you give the child a choice. You give the child, they get 2 choices. Okay, and when they're old enough to understand this, you can do this. Don't do this with like a little baby who's crawling and they don't understand. This is not going to apply to them. This is for a child who's cognitively developed enough that they can understand that they have a choice to make, and that they will hopefully choose this choice, which is what I'm about to tell you. They have like maybe a couple Hot Wheels cars and a dinosaur and mommy's lap, inside the meeting. Or if they start having a tantrum, you take them out and you put them in like a timeout. Sometimes I like to find an empty classroom where there's nothing in the classroom. And I just like sit them in the corner on the ground. And then I like just wait like this and kind of ignore them for a second. And it takes like 2 minutes. Typically a good timeout time is like 1 minute for however old they are, right? So it's like 2 minutes for like a 2-year-old, 3 minutes for a 3-year-old. So you sit them in the corner, let them sit there and scream and have their tantrum. And then you go over and you look them in the eye and you get down real low. You don't just stand up like this and like yell at them like that. You get down really low at their eye level and you say, do you want to keep sitting here in the naughty spot having a tantrum? Or do you want to go back and sit on my lap and quietly play with your toys? Those are their choices, okay? So I don't want to see moms, the kids flailing and being naughty, and all the kid wants to do is go run around, run laps around the church, or go play outside, or do all these other things that sometimes you just don't know what to do. I certainly didn't for a long time. And so if you reward the child for the bad behavior by letting him go play outside the meeting, he's gonna keep being naughty, right? He's gonna keep being naughty because he's gonna remember, last week I threw a tantrum and mom took me outside and I got to play outside of the meeting. I don't wanna be in here. And so guess what he's gonna do next week? He is gonna have, it's gonna be the worst tantrum. Right when the meeting starts, it's gonna be over. And so, if you don't want to deal with that, you give them 2 choices. The first choice to review, they sit with you and they play with their toys quietly. The second choice is they sit in timeout in a super boring, empty room outside by themselves while you're sitting there kind of ignoring them, waiting for them to stop having a meltdown. And I guarantee you that if those are their choices, they're going to be really excited to go back into the church and sit on your lap. And if they start losing it again, you just say, okay, you take them back outside and you put them in the naughty spot in the room, and you just sit there and wait for them to get it all up, and you come down and say, are you ready to go back in and be quiet and play with your cars now? Yeah. Okay, go back in, and you might have to do that a few times. It might take a couple weeks, but you have to be consistent, and you have to make sure that the alternative to sitting in church or sitting in the meeting or wherever you are is not better. So otherwise, they'll just continue to be naughty. So you take them out and do the way better, more fun thing. So you have to make where you take them way less fun. Then they're going to want to stay with you, being quiet, and then you'll be able to make it through church. So we reward the good behavior with the Star of the Day dollars, and if there's bad behavior, remove the child from the situation. Do not reward the tantrum, in this case, with running laps around and playing with his friends in the hallway and all the rest, okay? Are there any questions about that, mom friends? Periscope pals? Does anybody have any questions about that? I gotta save this to my camera roll. I think I'll put this on my, when do you hand out the dollar? Good question. I hand out the dollar when we get home from church. And so that's right, mom's a boss. When we get home, whoever earned the Star of the Day dollar, they know where they are, and they can go help themselves to their Star of the Day dollar. So I will save this Periscope and upload it to probably YouTube, and then I will put it on my blog at ocbeautymom.com. And write a little like sum up of what we talked about here, and remember to stay tuned for any other tips, like I was talking about earlier. Baby bottles, I'm going to talk about that a little later this week, and formula transitioning, and which formula to buy, and which bottles to buy, and of course, I've just done it 5 times. What do I know? I don't know. You guys have a great day, okay?